The Celtics look to sweep their first-round series against the Nets in Brooklyn. That game on TNT as we speak. Those were two of KD's 9 points thus far, and there's Marcus Smart as the C's lead the way 27-21. And just after 8 Eastern, the Sixers also have an opportunity to close out as the series has shifted back to Philly after the Raptors' Game 4 win. The Raps held the Sixers to a series-low 102 points and are 24-19 on the road thus far this season. And despite the Game 4 loss, the Sixers have continued to shoot well beyond the arc. They're hitting 13 a game on 42% from three. Joel Embiid averaging 26 and 12 in this series. Game 5 is right here on NBA TV. Hey everybody, welcome back into our NBA TV studios. This now the CarMax pregame show. I'm Kristen Ledlow, and our NBA champion Steve Smith, our Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas will join me in just a few minutes, and we're going to be with you until tip-off in Philly. As the Sixers look to close out this first-round series, Tyrese Maxey averaging 22 points and 6 rebounds through 4 games and ranks 5th in the league in three-point percentage with at least 20 attempts from deep. He's adding that bucket getting to Embiid's 26 and 12, and Joel has made the decision to play through the pain after tearing a ligament in his right thumb that is going to require surgery after his season, whenever it may end. On the flip side, Pascal Siakam recorded a playoff career high in Game 4 with 34 points, and his team a perfect 3-0 when he drops at least 30 in the playoffs. Our Nabil Kareem may have something to say about that, covering the series from the sidelines and joining us now from Philly. But let's start with the Raptors' injury report. What do we know about how Scotty Barnes is feeling, and now Fred VanVleet?
Yeah, let's start with VanVleet. He's got a left hip string. He is not going to play in this contest. They got an MRI done. He said it's not too serious. He's going to take it day to day. And he's not ruling out the possibility of potentially playing later in this series if it goes on, but not super optimistic. So he will not play, and that's a big loss for the Raptors. And you got to remember, too, Fred VanVleet is also dealing with a bruised right knee. He had missed the last 3 games of the regular season. He hasn't been right for a long time, and it really hasn't been great in this series offensively or defensively. But the good news is Scotty Barnes is feeling pretty good. Nick Nurse said he was a little sore with that ankle after Game 4, but they had treatment done on him. I talked to Scotty earlier today. He said, I'm feeling fine, man. I feel good. I got all the movements I need, all the mobility I need to feel comfortable out there. And that's big because without Freddie out there, Scotty Barnes is going to have to, A, pick up some of the ball handling point guard duties, and he's going to start tonight as a point guard, and B, help out with Pascal Siakam as far as the scoring load is concerned.
Rookie of the year for a reason, right? Joel Embiid, though, has also made this decision to play through pain as he's injured his finger. What is it that's been communicated to you about how his injury may affect this series and what his team needs to close this out?
Yeah, Doc Rivers said, listen, this is a pain management thing, right? It's going to be a day-to-day pain management thing. He's going to be there. It's going to go away. Doc said he actually had a very similar injury back in the day when he was playing, so he kind of has an idea of what Joel might be going through. He said it's really about the thumb stability. It's kind of a grip issue, so when you're gripping the ball, it's really painful. Not so worried about his shooting. It's more the passing, because that's when you really got to grip the ball. And even on some rebounds, he thought Joel kind of bobbled a couple of rebounds in Game 4. But he said, as we all saw, in the second half of Game 4, he kind of got comfortable. So Joel's just going to have to learn to play with that thing. But for Doc Rivers, he's like, listen, we just got to be less sloppy. Okay, and that's the bottom line. Games 3 and 4, they were real sloppy. 22 turnovers in Game 3, 15 in Game 4. He says, we got to turn that down. We got to play a clean game. And then take care of the glass. Because the Raptors are getting way too many offensive rebounds. That leads to extra possessions, and that's kind of their bread and butter to win games in a series like this.
Pascal Siakam, I've mentioned several times tonight already, a playoff career best in points in Game 4. What's the expectation from him in Game 5 if this team is going to avoid elimination?
He's got to be super aggressive again. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He got crushed locally in Toronto for the first 3 games for not being aggressive, right? Like, you go back to Game 3, he only took 5 shots in the second half of that game, didn't get to the free throw line at all. And then in Game 4, in a do-or-die situation, comes up with the playoff career high. So expect more of that, especially with Fred VanVleet on the lineup. Pascal's going to have to be aggressive. He's going to run point forward a lot in this game. And then Gary Trent Jr. is another guy who's going to be really, really valuable to this team. They're 21-6 on the year when he scores 20 points or more. I talked to Gary today about his health. He says he's feeling, I won't say 100%, but he's feeling a lot better. And we saw the production they got from Gary Trent Jr. last game. They're going to need that in a game where the Sixers are going to come out pretty hot, wanting to close this thing out and give Joel some rest.
Again, Nabil is on the call with tip-off set for 8 Eastern. That's in less than half an hour. You should probably go. We're going to let you do so right here on NBA TV. Thanks again for taking the time, friend. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
And we want to hear from you all, basketball fans. Oh, as promised, Smitty and Zeke are here now. Scan the QR code on your screen and let us know what you think. Do the Sixers need at least 25 from Harden to win Game 5? I want to know what the two of you think as well.
No, I don't think so. I think that he needs to have a good game, but he doesn't have to have 25. I think it still comes down to how Joel Embiid imposes his will on this game. And it doesn't have to be scoring to me, Zeke. It's just rebounding, drawing double teams, staying out of foul trouble, just staying on the floor. The longer Joel Embiid is on the floor, the more it's a problem for the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, and I think, for Philly, the wild card is Tobias Harris. I think they need a good scoring night from him to be effective because, when he scores well, Philly normally plays well. When you look at Harden in terms of his assists, I do like the way he's distributing the basketball, and he does have options. So a lot of times when a big scorer doesn't score a lot, but he's contributing in other ways, we take for granted the assist in the passing and the decision-making that he's having and the effect that he's still having on the ball game.
Because as you look at those numbers, he's averaging 19 points a game, but 10 assists.
That's a good number. His
role in this series has primarily been facilitating the offense.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, 19 and 10, you contributing, close to 40 points to the offense. And that's a big number that you can count on. And, too many times we look at, he got 28 points, and we don't count like the assists. So he's bringing to the table, close to 40 points a night still, and that's a good way to judge him right now when you're playing with a big guy like Embiid. Now, if Embiid's not on the team and he's out there got to do it himself, then he's got to score more. But when you're playing with a dominant post player, then your job is to get that guy to basketball.
What, Smitty, are the Raptors missing with Fred VanVleet sidelined?
Chris, I think that's a great question. And I'm going to go, nothing has to do with stats. Toughness, leadership, in the game, experience, calmness. I just think I call him Fred the Vet. He's been Fred the Vet since he was a rookie. They're missing all that. And then you take what he can do is obviously he can knock down shots. He understands. Defensively, he gets after. But I think that's what they're missing from him, just his toughness, his experience, his want to. I want to win the game. I want to defend. I want to make the best play. So I just love when he had the injury, the way he left the court. You can tell he loves to play the game. He was upset that he can't be out there. So without him, I think they're definitely going to have to knock down some threes. They have some people that can do that. I think also it's kind of an advantage without him on the defensive end. They can play extremely big with Barnes and Gary Trent Jr. and OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam and Precious Achiuwa. They can play big and try to at least match a little bit of the rebounding with Philadelphia.
And again, tip-off is just after 8 right here on NBA TV. But after the break, we'll look ahead to the last